Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And good evening, Kristin.
Good evening, Susette. I am still full from Thanksgiving.
And Santa arrived by tugboat, and what a great weekend.
What a great weekend.
What a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting the event. And thank you to Santa. Wink, wink.
And thank you to everybody that supported Small Business Saturday and came out the whole weekend for Black Friday. We really appreciate it. Mystic was buzzing, and the restaurants were buzzing, the stores were busy, so thank you very much. But we have a little ways to go. We have about 4 weeks left for the holiday season.
Good grief.
And but before we get into that, Kristin, what else is going on?
Be sure to get your last-minute tickets for the annual meeting for the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. That's December 8th, and you can buy tickets on our website. We're going to talk about the chamber and what we've done this year and our growth and where we're going for the future.
Right, and introduce our new president elect coming in on that day.
Of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce.
We have to make sure. And say it was an election year, but also an election year for us too. Yes. And we're very, very, very happy to announce who that person is and excited as we move forward into 2017. But again, I know I was talking last week about our last show as far as Kristin and I talking about the events for the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, but historically, we always end the last show with a Florence Griswold Museum. And we want to welcome back Tammi, Flynn, who I have to say has just been, the Florence Griswold Museum has been a member of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce for a very long time, and we've supported them. They have supported us. And we are just so happy. I think, Tammi, I don't even know. I mean, I asked you the question how long we've gone back, but I don't even know. Probably 20.
Yeah, 17,
20,
18, 20 years,
whatever.
something like that.
I don't remember. But Tammi has also been doing this show for quite a long time. How long have you been with the Florence Griswold Museum?
17 years, yeah.
Okay, so it's actually been a long time.
It's like I love this part because it's like shopping. I don't really have to go anywhere.
Yes.
I just come to the studio and I can browse for certain little things and stop by there on my way and already have something in mind. So
and Tammi, so welcome back. So
thank you.
I think we should start off with what's happening at the museum and also talk about the trees.
Well, we have a fantastic exhibition going on right now called In Place, Contemporary Artist and Vision of Museum. And it's 10 contemporary photographers who have taken these really deep looks into the museum, some into the Griswold house, some into the landscapes, these gorgeous landscapes, and then some in the gallery space and some into our collection. One of the artists fell in love with our Willard Metcalf naturalist collection, so she has turned some of the butterflies and eggs and moths into these incredible works of art. Other artists,
so they're inspired by the museum itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Okay. And so yes, that's on view till January 29th, and we were just so lucky to have these 10 wonderful artists taking really a whole year. We started this project a year ago, and they just surprised us with their wonderful the outcome of the project. So we're very happy to see that. And now, since it's the magic of Christmas as well, in the galleries we have the palette tree. In the Griswold house we have the 3 fantasy trees by different artists, and the house is decorated to the 1910 time period. So lots going on for Christmas too. So you can see great artwork and have a happy Christmas too.
So that's what these are here. These are some examples of the palettes that get painted. Can you tell us a little bit about how that goes?
Sure. So we're up to almost 200 palettes. There's 3 trees. And what happened probably 12 years ago that we started this, asking 50 artists. We gave them the palettes, the painter's palettes, these little 8x10.
This is, oh my God.
And it's just been, so this one is called The Winter in Lime, and Rick Lacey from Old Lyme painted this one. The first one you saw was Melissa Barberi she has a home in Essex and Greenwich, and she's just a phenomenal artist that has really been doing this great series on fish, so she made us a fish palette. I love this particular one because it's so different.
Yeah, that is just, I think that's one of the most different ones that I've seen.
It's hand-dyed cotton embroidery floss using the punch needle technique, and it's a lady from Old Lyme, Janet Cody, and it's just a lovely, and what I love about these palettes is that it can be painting, or we have a glass palette, we have a ceramic palette, we have all sorts of different ones. So,
Tammi, when did this all start? I mean, I think I've gone through this with you from the very beginning, but I can't remember when this tree started and how it came about.
I think it's been about 12 years, and we were looking for a signature holiday event for the museum. So our Director of Education and Outreach, David Rao, thought, well, the artists used to come and stay at the Griswold house, and they would paint on the walls and door panels of the Griswold house. It's kind of our claim to fame. So he said, well, what can we do with present day artists? So he thought, what about him? He's just got an incredible mind.
I know David very much. Yeah, he's just...
So he says, why don't we give them palettes, have them paint whatever they want, and we'll hang it on a tree, and that'll be our signature. So it's a nod to the artist who established the Lyme Art Colony, but a contemporary and holiday take on it. And like I said, we're up to almost 200, and everything from traditional...
Is this on one tree?
No, 3 trees.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Three
because
trees
when it
now.
first started,
yes.
I was on the one tree.
Yes,
but now,
we're up to 3 trees now.
Yeah.
And I love that there can be traditional paintings as well as holiday paintings, as well as abstract. It can be anything that
now,
the artist
how do you
is working
choose
in.
the artists, or do they just submit?
Well, some people, ask David how to get on the list or whatever, but he really juries the whole thing. It's very, usually he has seen the person's work before, or they have some sort of connection to the museum, and that's when they get asked to paint on a palette. Much like the Lyme Art Colony painting on the walls and door panels. It was sort of oh, you've done great work this year.
So
why
it's an
don't
extension
you?
of that, that sort of that idea.
Yeah, the spirit of it, sure.
Right. And then just while we have our camera guy here as well, because this is kind of my favorite part of it too. The store basically has sort of this signature collection of beautiful, beautiful ornaments. And just want to reach out to just this one right here. If I drop it, does that mean I own it?
It means you have a happy new year or something,
Now
I'm sure.
Just look at the work as I turn it around, and you just can't even imagine this. Look at this.
We pride ourselves
And
in
who
the
is this
shop.
artist?
This is a artist in Old Saybrook, and we really pride ourselves on trying to do fair trade or local artisans. Sometimes we go outside that, but like the snowman is a ceramic artist named Pat Wrist. She's down on the shoreline. She does angels and snowmen and
unbelievable.
And she also does decorative objects as well as functional ones. So there's beautiful bowls and serving trays.
And so the whole table here is just a look. I love that. The whole table here is just an array.
Susette, I want to go home with you.
I'm sure. That happens too. Ask Tammi. That's happened many times. But the table here is just an array of all the different ornaments and different things that can be purchased at the store.
Yep. So in the gift shop this year, there's 3 trees and they're themed. One is a very happy, great primary colors, fun, exciting. Others more traditional, the gilded ornaments. And then we have a natural, a nod to nature. So there's fox and raccoons and all sorts of wonderful. So those are our 3 themes, but you can find just about anything.
Right. And you're also famous for your books. And this year, on this particular book, we have, what's the name of this?
Decorating for Christmas at Historic Houses.
And the museum is actually featured. Oh, there you go, right in the book. So that's huge. That is actually just wonderful.
Yeah, we were very excited to be chosen with that great group. So
yeah, well, thank you, Tammy. The display is just wonderful. So let's move on to really what is going to be going on in the next 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness! Well, there's a little bit for everybody. It's all on our website, so please have a look. It's called we call it.
Go right on the screen. Here.
We get this. Was easy.
We get this. They're real pros here.
There's everything from our adult art bar, which is you get to make your own ornament. You come in and have cheese and crackers and wine and paint a beautiful ornament to take home with you.
So bar means a lot of things at the museum, Kristin.
It does.
Okay, it goes from painting to wine.
Very easily it does, yes.
I'll take it.
You get very creative when you mixing the cheese and the wine and the paint.
It's the cheese, I know.
I don't think it's anything that will be put on the palette tree for Kristin and I at that point.
But then there's we have the Little Mermaid coming because she's we have a wonderful relationship with a woman who does all these fantastic characters, and so she's coming to sing and not on the same day as our bar, but for the kids one weekend she's coming to sing and tell stories. Everyone loves her and her different costumes. It took me a while to figure out it was the same person that was coming.
Oh, I know. So yeah. That's how good she is.
So different.
Right?
But the kids love it. We have hands-on activities every Sunday. There is a young patrons party. So 21 to 39-year-olds can come and meet up with the other 21 to 39-year-olds and enjoy cocktails and the exhibition and just a holiday get-together. The Cocobos from Conn College will be there that night.
What's that, the Cocobos?
The Cocobos is a all-male a cappella group from Connecticut College, and they are so much fun. And just singing in the galleries, it just is, the acoustics are wonderful. And so it's a fun time, and you cannot help but be in the holiday spirit when they're singing.
Yeah.
So our Magic of Christmas goes from December 1st to January 8th. And we have teas. We have our own Miss Florence tea that I brought some. We have teas every day from Tuesday.
You've got to call, though.
Yeah, you do call.
Because I know that was something that years ago that
it sells
we've
out
done.
pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
it always sells out.
So that's a fun event. People make a holiday tradition of it.
You're saying the Florence tea that you have here is like a specific blend?
Yes.
That like Miss Florence used to drink?
Well, no. but we think we might.
She may have.
Those artists, they were always creating something. No, the Sundial Gardens created this particular blend for us, and it's a black tea. It's really wonderful. Good, and I would say a little strong. It's got a nice body to it.
But that's what you need during the holidays, and you need that during the winter. You need that strong tea.
Yeah. And then you get a tray, a three-tiered tray of all sorts of scones and savories and wonderful goodies. And
that's a must to go with the tea.
Absolutely.
So that's what's happening during the holiday season, all those events. But tell us a little bit about what's going on throughout the year.
Well, we have a really great show coming up. Matilda Brown was one of the only female artists of the Lyme Art Colony that she was, her male counterparts respected her greatly. And she has sort of fell out. She was very widely known during the early 1900s, but sort of fell out of recognition. And so we're doing a whole exhibition on her starting in February, and I'm so very excited about that because I feel it's a wonderful thing to give this lady her due back at the colony. So it's a lot from our collection, but also many private collections, so things that you wouldn't normally get to see. And she painted these gorgeous garden. She was known for her gardens. Paintings, and also for her, I love this term, bovine portraiture. She loved painting cows.
Cow.
She loved her cows.
Yes, I was going to say, those are cows.
Yes. So
bovine portraiture.
She was known for her
it.
bovine portraiture, and she was one of the only. She was the only female to paint on the walls and door panels of the Griswold house. She was painted a cow on Miss Florence's door to her bedroom. So there's
Now,
a lot
what year
of good
was
connections. So early 1900s.
Yeah, I was going to say early 1900s.
And when you say that the male artists respected her, I'm wondering what kind of environment that she had to put up with back then. I mean, Miss Griswold was running the colony, right? I mean, she kind of was the hostess,
Right.
But then this artist, what was her name again?
Matilda Brown.
Matilda Brown. What do you think her situation was like?
Well, a lot of the gentlemen who came to paint would bring their wives. I mean, so there were other women in there.
But they weren't the artist.
Correct. Yes.
We had a conversation about that just before the show. Yeah.
So, but Matilda, they very much respected her art and took her into the fold. She's the only woman on the fox chase, which is an overmantel. It's painted over our fireplace. It's this lovely caricature of many of the artists of the colony, and Matilda Brown has her easel there, and she says she's shown with her hands raised up because in front of her is Child Hassan with his shirt off. Big doings in 1908.
Back then,
Yes,
course, yes.
So she's raising her hands in shock, and he's bare-chested doing his painting. So
that was a conversation in the afternoon with tea and scones.
I know.
Exactly.
We've come a long way.
Like she could paint with the big boys.
Yeah.
That Matilda.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that. See, I learned something every time you come on the show.
Well, I'm particularly excited about that show. I think
that's
it'll be
great.
wonderful.
And we're going to talk a little bit about Miss Florence and her birthday. Her birthday is actually Christmas Day, and so quite a celebration for that. But just give us a little history, Tammi, for those in the audience that have never been or don't really know, number one, where you are located, and really how this all started, how the museum came to be.
Sure. So we're in Old Lyme, Connecticut, right down the shore. Miss Florence Griswold was the daughter of a very wealthy sea captain until the fortunes changed, and she was left alone at the age of 49 in this beautiful grand house has become historic Lime Street, and she didn't quite know what to do. So back then, we're talking 1899 now. So what was an acceptable thing for women of society to do was to open a boarding house. It's a great time period because there's transportation between big cities, New York and Boston, and there's Old Lyme right in the middle.
Right.
And it was very appropriate. People were having more leisure travel at that point. So it was kind of a tourism, the beginning of tourism. So she opened her house to boarders, and just very happily for her and us and art history, Henry Ward Ranger was the first artist who was coming. He was on the train, and he saw this beautiful scenery passing by, and he got off at the next stop, and the rest was history. He painted there, and he was really looking for a place to start an art colony, just like most of the artists had experienced back in France and Holland and England, where they were making their grand tours and painting. And so he was looking for a very similar thing to do in America, and he found this wonderful place, and for the next 30 years artists came and went throughout,
Right, but they stayed there, and she hosted, and they were sort of inspired along the river there, and this became. But So it was a boarding house, but when did it sort of change? I know she was gone by then, but so when did it sort of change into this wonderful museum?
So Miss Florence never was able to get her family's fortunes back. She really limped along for a very long time.
Right.
And in fact, in the late 30s, she finally had to,
She couldn't keep it up.
No.
Yeah.
Really, you got to cut the grass?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
So
keep the lights on.
It was all very
chase the
expensive.
mice out
to-
of
yes.
the attic?
So,
Right.
yep. So so the townspeople tried to help her, but basically her executor said, you're gonna need just to sell, and she didn't want to, but the land was sold. There's a wonderful story on our website how the town sort of fought for her and was trying to buy the land for her, but they just couldn't do it. And she was a judge from New York, eventually bought the property and allowed her to live out her days in the house, which is closest to the street. The museum has 13 acres on the Lieutenant River. So on Lime Street is where the house is facing, and then the river is in the back, and there's a beautiful garden in between. And so she passes through her days, and a year later she passes away, and then they kind of close up everything. And it turned out to be beneficial that they didn't, like the judge didn't try to, whitewash the paintings that are on the walls or sell them off individually.
Right.
Yeah, he really wanted to build a beautiful house down by the river, so that's what he did. He he kind of closed up the house, and 10 years later, finally, the artists are able to buy back her house and less than an acre of land.
So they raised money.
They raised money. The town helped them raise
It's a
money.
wonderful story. I love hearing
That
this
is a great story.
It's a really special. I mean, that area is still such a great community feel. It's a very strong community. So they were able to buy back her house, and then there was a war, so they couldn't do anything.
Right.
So finally, in the 50s, there was much more of a push for it to become a museum. And little by little, we bought back all the acres. Just this spring, we bought back the last acre and a half.
Wow.
So now we're up
What
to
a
her.
celebration.
Yeah, we're up to her 13
So there have been
acres.
people that own that, and then when they pass away or whatever, it's an opportunity to buy it back.
Yes.
That is just a wonderful
We were so
journey.
excited. Yeah, it's so nice to have, we feel like Miss Florence is going, yay, my whole land is back now. And
What age did she actually die?
83.
Okay, so she really lived, but the whole time was struggling to keep, sort of this inspiration for these artists that are coming to Lieutenant River, and they're using the property for their own inspiration.
Right. And there's wonderful letters back and forth. She was very good to them, and they were very good to her. At a time when she had lost all of her family, they became her family. And there's great letters about going to weddings and going to openings in New York and Boston. So the artist really helped to fill her days. And it was
But I think she
wonderful.
helped them too.
Absolutely.
Just inspiring.
Well, in community too, those things happen in a small community that it seems maybe for them that it was, wasn't that a great party? Or remember, because I have those kinds of times in my life, and you've got several group of people where you just feel like what's happening is historic, and you just you can't deny it. And that must have been how they felt, that things were changing, and to keep going back to this small group of artists and nurturing their creativity as well, which is something that is sometimes difficult to do in society and with things that happen in the world. So I love that story too, for that reason, that just feels like that cohesiveness that I've felt in my life before, that it became something historic and that they truly were creating history together.
I always say when Christmas comes around, I'm so fatigued, from running a small business. I always just remember, because I have a lot of the ornaments on the tree from the Florence Griswold Museum store, which I encourage but there's something from toddlers to whatever age you want to be, and then you become this little person that just like your mind is like, I'm a kid again, and you end up in the store. I swear to God, one ornament. And then she says, that'll be $92.80. And you say to yourself, that's really nice. But it's a great. It's someplace you really have to go and support, and the museum. But we only have a few minutes left, and I just want to say, wee fairies.
We love our wee fairies.
Oh, and that's happening every year. And
every October.
Yeah. Oh.
Love the wee fairies.
Love the wee fairies.
Sister.
Tammy mentioned a lot of things going on during this holiday season and throughout the year, but don't forget the wee fairies.
15,000 people came through this October.
Is that a record number?
No, I think 17 was the record.
17,000. It is amazing. That is an amazing exhibit, and you kind of get into it. You know what I mean? You become it. If I can just say that.
Well, and it started out as a thing for young families, young kids, but really, couples come together, women, on a fun day out come together. It's for everybody.
It's an amazing exhibit. So that happens, I can tell you, in October too. And so they just go out and really support the Florence Griswold Museum. It is not far. It's down at exit 70.
Yes.
Very easy to get down north and south. So make sure that you make it a point this holiday season to visit. And Tammy, I just want to shout out to you. You've just been a great ambassador and for the museum, and we know you and we love you. And we'd love to have. And Mystic Matters always ends with the Florence Griswold Museum. Couldn't be a better organization that we want to support. So, Kristin, this is our last show. Okay, we made it. We'll be back again January. You know what? She's going to tell me when we get back. January-ish.
What is the January 8th? Like, isn't that a specific holiday? Like, the holidays go to a specific, the 12 days of Christmas. Isn't there a name for that day?
I don't know, Kristin.
You call us. You tell us.
Let us know. Let us know. We're just going to wrap it up. You know what? If it doesn't have anything to do with gifts, who cares about January 8th? You know what I mean? By then, we're taking down the tree. We're past the New Year's. We've already said those New Year's resolutions. We broke those 8 days ago.
Well, I'm going shopping because the Downtown Mystic Stroll
coming up.
Is coming up.
Yeah.
That's next week, Tuesday, and
I'll see you there.
You'll see me there.
Yep.
In Luminaria.
Yep.
So. And then I'm going down to Florence Griswold.
The ornaments. You always have to get one. You can spend $92.80 if you'd like. If your credit card will take it, but spend $92.80.
I'm going to get some tea, I think.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, Tammy, thank you so much. Kristin, it's been a pleasure working with you for the whole year.
Thank you.
And I look forward to 2017. I look forward to seeing all of you again. Have a happy holiday, a safe holiday, and we wish you all the best. We'll see you next year.